everyone, I'm Dr. Stephanie and I'm a physical therapist. And today I want to go through a workout that works on both hip mobility and hip strengthening. It's important to work on both to help you prevent injuries and to get rid of any hip pain or knee pain or low back pain that you're having. Because if your hips move well and they're strong, then that helps prevent all types of injuries. Okay, so we're going to go through all of these. We're going to start with some mobility moves. And even though we're working on mobility, it really works on strengthening too, because you have to have strength in your hips to do some of these mobility moves. And all of these are pretty beginner friendly. So even if you haven't worked on mobility before, you can do these today with me. Okay, so you're going to start in this position, seated. You have your hands behind you like this, legs like this, and you're just going to rotate one knee to the middle down to the floor, and then rotate back to the other side. And if you can't get your knee all the way down to the floor, that's okay. Just go as far as you can. So even if it's just here, that's okay. But you can kind of shift your hips so that you go back and forth like this. And this really works on getting your hips moving. It's a great warm-up activity. So just back and forth. And if you have trouble sitting flat on the floor, you can sit on a block or a step or a rolled up towel. That works too. So just back and forth. And you can count about 8 to 10 on each side. You can do a little more or a little less depending on how you're feeling. If you feel like you're scooting forward, that's okay. Just kind of scoot yourself back. As you get better at this and your hips get more mobile, that should happen less often. All right, we're going to go 2 more. That's 1 and 2. Okay, from there, we're going to go in a 90-90 position here. And we're going to stay in this position and lean forward over the front leg down as far as you can. And then you're going to come up, switch to the other side, and go to the same thing to the other side. Lean as far as you can. We're just going to go back and forth like that. This works on your hip mobility. You'll feel it kind of stretch. It's a pretty good piriformis stretch too. That's that muscle kind of deep in your butt here. So just back and forth. On all of these, you may feel like one side is tighter than the other side, and that's okay. You may need to work on that side a little bit more. On this one, I like to do just 5 to 8 to each side, or just go till you feel kind of loosened up. All right, let's do 2 more to each side. Got 1 and 2. Okay, from there, we're going to come up into a half kneeling position. And then you're going to put one leg, one foot out to the side like this. You're just going to rock towards that leg. And this is a good one for kind of opening up the hips, kind of stretching out the groin muscles, those adductors in here. And if you want more of a stretch, you can kind of put your foot out a little bit more, or you can bring it closer if you need to. I also like to add a weight to this one sometimes. So you can hold like a kettlebell or a dumbbell and kind of lean into it more. This one's good for opening the hips, but it also kind of works on ankle mobility as well. Just going to do 5 to 10 on each side. Just whatever feels good. You can do this on a bed if you need a softer surface to kneel on, or you can kneel on a pad or a pillow. Okay, then we're going to switch sides. Same thing on the other side. Just pushing out as far as you can. Like that, kind of working on that ankle mobility as well. One side on this will probably feel tighter than the other as well. You want to keep your trunk up straight too. So when you go to the side, you don't want to be leaning over. You want to keep that straight. You'll feel it a little bit more in there.
Now let's do 2 more. 1 and 2. Okay, from here we're going to do another kneeling one. So this one, I'm going to show you this way. We're going to do a hip flexor stretch, but it's just going to be a kind of dynamic movement. So you don't want to hold it. Just kind of want to go back and forth here. And one really important thing here is when you lean forward, you don't want your trunk to lean forward because then you won't feel it in your hip flexors. So you want to kind of keep everything tight and straight up and down here. Just rock forward and then backwards. And then you should feel it kind of stretch in here. You may feel it a little bit on the front hip too. It's going to go back and forth. And again, you can kneel on a bed if you need to, or a cushion. All right, let's do 2 more. And 2. Okay, now other side. Same thing, trunk straight up and down. Lean forward into the front knee. Just pause for a second or two. Just forward and back. This one I like because it kind of works on ankle mobility too. Depends where your foot is or how flexible your ankles are. But you should feel it a little bit there too. This one also, if you want a little bit more stretch, you can put a kettlebell or weight on the front knee. Just kind of lean into it. You can also kind of tilt your knee to the side or kind of the inside if you want to feel a little bit deeper of a stretch in a different position. All right, we'll go 1 more. Okay, so those were mainly mobility, although they work on strength too. Now we're going to do a couple of strengthening exercises with a band. And if you don't have a band, that's okay. You don't have to use a band with these. And if you're a beginner and you try a band and the band is hard, then try it without the band first, and then start with the lightest resistance band and work your way up. Okay, so what we're going to do first is have the band on, keep some resistance in the loop band, and then what you're going to do is bring your foot out to the front and kind of make a half circle. You go front, half circle, front, half circle. So I like this exercise because it's actually working both legs. You are working this leg you're standing on because you're working on balance, and your hip and all these muscles have to stabilize to keep you from falling over. And then you're also working the leg that's moving because you have to pull on the band, and so you're working all those hip muscles. Okay, we'll do 2 more. 1 and 2. So these, we're going to do about 2 sets of 10. And you can do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10, depending on how you feel. You're just going to go half circle. And if this is hard, then you can hold on to something to start as well. Just like that. Half circle. And you don't want to lean too much, because then your trunk's kind of doing more of the work, and your hips aren't in the right position. So you want to keep your hips as straight as possible when you do this. And so you may have to do it without the band or holding on to something first. Okay, let's do 1 more. Okay, so I'm going to just do 1 set of each of those, but you can do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10, however you're feeling. Okay, so we're going to do 1 more with the band down by our ankles. So I call these hip flexion or Frankenstein kicks. So what you're going to do is kick straight forward like this. You want to keep your knees straight, just like that. So you just kick, kick, kick. Again, you don't really want to drop your hips too much. Just keep them straight. Kick like this. Just back and forth. And we'll do a few more. Okay, one more. Okay, we're gonna rest and we're gonna do one more set of those. I didn't count, but if you're counting, do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10. And again, you can do those. You can start without the band if the band's too difficult or you don't have a band. It's still going to work those hip muscles. Okay, we're going to do one more set here. It's kicking. You can also hold on to something. You want to make sure you're not going too fast. You don't want to go too slow, but you don't want to go like just back and forth because then you're not working those muscles properly. But you'll feel this in your hip flexors. You'll feel it in your quads probably. You'll also be working on your balance because when you kick forward, you have to stand and stabilize on that opposite leg. Okay, let's do a couple more. Okay, all right, we got one more exercise. This one, I'm going to move the band up around my knees or just above my knees. And what I want to do, and if this helps you as a visual, you can put yoga blocks beside you or water bottles or something. Basically, you're going to lift your leg up and tap over and bring it back, up, tap over and bring it back. And again, you can start with no band and work your way up. Just back and forth like this. And you can we'll do about 5 to 8 on each side. And then we're going to do 2 sets, but you can do 3 sets. You can also, as you get stronger, increase the number of reps you do, increase the number of sets. Also important to increase resistance. So all these resistance bands are different strengths. So start with the lightest and work your way up. Okay, we'll call that the last one. Okay, rest for a minute. And then we'll do one more set of those. Okay, we'll just go ahead and do that. So we go up and over, up and over, and just tap back and forth. And if you feel like whatever resistance band you're using makes your hips really tired, or you can't make it to whatever reps you're shooting for, you probably should go down in resistance. I would say make it to whatever resistance you're using, or if you're using no band, try to do 8 to 10 reps and then do 3 sets of that. And when that feels easy, you can move up to the next resistance. Okay, let's do 2 more on each side now. So we got 1, 2, and 2. Okay, so all of these exercises I would do as a routine maybe 3 to 4 times a week. It won't take you super long, but you'll really feel it in your hips and kind of start building that strength and mobility.